Captain of India's under-16 football team house was burnt down in state-sponsored ethnic cleansing against the Kuki-Zo. Mr. Ngamgough mate has nowhere to go after winning the SAFF U16. Despite no home to stay, the SAFF U16 winning Blue Colts captain looks forward to peace in Manipur. When Ngamgough mate from the strife-torn Manipur's Tengnopal district, who led the proud Indian football team and clinched the South Asian Football Federation under-16 champion at Thimphu as a captain, returned home, his parents had to welcome him in a relief camp in Kangpokpi district as his home in Kongsai Veng, Impal, had already been burnt down in the initial stage of the ethnic violence. We talked about this earlier, but there are no Kuki-Zos remaining. There are no remaining Kuki-Zos in the Imphal district. What is happening in Manipur right now is ethnic cleansing. Imphal out of bounds for Kuki-Zos. 10 MLAs urged PM to create DGP. Chief Secretary post for the Hills. 10 Kuki-Zomi MLAs of Manipur have submitted a memorandum to Prime Minister Narendra Modi requesting that the post of Chief Secretary and Director General of Police or its equivalents be created for the 5 hill districts where the members of a community have been residing since ethnic violence broke out. Modi's literally letting Biren Singh run wild. Like, Modi is not going to say a damn thing. Modi's absolutely not going to say a damn thing about Manipur. He is not. This happened 3 months ago, but we're going to run this again.
And Manipur,
this is the kind of violence that is broken out in Manipur.
Remains to be tense, and in the recent instance of violence there, 3 people have died as an ambulance was vandalized. An ambulance was set ablaze in the Manipur capital, Imphal.
Who did this? The Indian Army? No. No. Meitei vigilantes. Meitei fascists did this. Meitei nationalists did this. Meitei ethno-nationalists did this. So what happened was, a couple months ago, this boy who is of half Meitei and half Kuki descent, his father is Kuki, his mom is Meitei, got a gunshot wound to his head. So he needed medical attention immediately. But the only major hospital that was operating was in Imphal, which is a Meitei-dominated area. So he went with his mom and his neighbor to the Imphal hospital. There was fake news that was spread on Meitei WhatsApp groups. Mom is Meitei, yes. Kid is half Meitei, his mom is Meitei, his neighbor is Meitei. The reason they all went in the ambulance is because they went to a hospital in a Meitei-dominated area. They thought they would be safe from these mobs. But what happened was the WhatsApp groups in Manipur, operating in Imphal, spread fake news about this ambulance, that this ambulance was really housing Kuki terrorists. This happened 3 months ago. And what do those Meitei ethno-nationalists do? They set the ambulance on fire, killed the boy, killed the mom, and killed the neighbor. They burnt an 8-year-old kid alive. Meitei nationalists burnt an 8-year-old kid alive because of fake news. Did the government ever do shit? No. Well, actually, now the Supreme Court is hearing this case. But no, the government, the Biren Singh administration did nothing. Will you go over the EGI report today? Probably. We'll probably go over the EGI report next. They have claimed that the media outlets of Imphal Valley have been indulging in outright misrepresentation of the fact. Hold on. Every internet Sanghi I argue with have only their one point where they say Kukis are 20% of the population but control over 60% of the land, hence the violence is justifiable, shaking my head. That is the Kukis' homeland. That is a matter of indigeneity. The Kukis, their native land are the hills. That is their native land. You want to know why? When people say Kuki-Zos are not one ethnic group. They are a multitude of different ethnic groups whose homeland happens to be along the border of Manipur and Myanmar. So there are some Kuki-Zo ethnic groups whose homeland is in Myanmar. There's some Kuki-Zo ethnic groups who are indigenous to the hill regions. Mars, Paites, Tados, they're all indigenous to the hill regions of Manipur. The thing is, Kukis are not one ethnic group. There are a multitude of ethnic groups within the Kukis. The Editors Guild of India received several representations that the media in Manipur was playing a partisan role in the ongoing conflict between the majority Meitei community and the Kuki-Chin minority. On July 12, 2023, when the conflict had already been going on for a little over 2 months, the EGI also received a written complaint from the Indian Army's Third Corps headquarters citing specific examples of the media in Manipur, suggesting that it may be playing a major role in arousing passion and not letting sustainable peace come in. You know shit is bad when the fucking Indian Army, asks for help. Do you know how bad things have to be if the Indian Army is begging you to help? I want people to understand how bad the situation is in Manipur. The Indian Army is asking for help. Like, you are seeing genocide happening in that region, not just in Manipur, but in Myanmar too, because you now have Meitei ethno-nationalist groups teaming up with the Myanmar government to kill Kuki Zos in Myanmar, to kill Kuki Chin people in Myanmar. They have claimed that the media outlets of Imphal Valley have been indulging in outright misrepresentations of facts and one of the major contributors to the instigation of further violence, as the bias of the media in favor of one community against the other community emerges daily in their reportage. The EGI has expressed its concern about the ethnic clashes in Manipur, but after receiving representations about the uneven and biased reportage of the local and national media, it decided to send a fact-finding team to Manipur. The EGI wanted to investigate further whether there were other instances as well of incidents of the media's incorrect reporting, purveying wrong facts, and spreading fake news. For example, the leadership of the state labeled the entire community of Kuki Zo tribals as illegal immigrants and foreigners without any reliable data or evidence. A 3-member team comprising of Ms. Seema Guha, Mr. Bharat Bhushan, and Mr. Sanjay Kapoor was sent to Manipur to examine the media reportage in the state. The team visited Manipur from August 7th to 10th. Its term of reference were to examine the reportage of media of violence by the media, whether to examine whether media was indeed biased and divisive as alleged by several stakeholders, and to understand and document the way the media's coverage has deepened the fissures and the impact of internet shutdown on the ability of media to function. The team met with a cross-section of reporters, editors, and representatives of the Editors Guild of Manipur, all Manipur Working Journalists Union, civil society activists, public intellectuals, women affected by violence, tribal spokespersons, and the representatives of the security forces operating in Manipur. It was not the mandate of the EGI team to examine the causes of the ethnic clashes of Manipur. However, it would be difficult to understand the media's behavior without understanding the overall social and political context in which the ethnic violence took place. Before the violence erupted on May 3rd, Manipur's tribal tensions, especially between the majority Meitei community and the minority Kuki Chin Zo community, were already reaching their boiling point. The state government seems to have facilitated the majority's anger towards the Kukis through several seemingly partisan statements and policy measures. For example, the leadership of the state labeled the entire community of Kuki Zo tribals as illegal immigrants and foreigners without any reliable data or evidence. This is despite the fact that the decadal census from 1901 to 2001 has not shown any unusual growth of the non-Naga, the other minority tribal population. The fact that there was a military coup in Myanmar, which led to an inflow of about 40,000 refugees to Mizoram, reportedly 4,000 to Manipur, was used to brand all Kuki Zo as illegal immigrants. This was presented as pressure on resources, but it was also a war for political space, with the Meitei leadership of government using the fear of outsiders to consolidate its political position. In addition, without following proper procedure as laid out in the Manipur Legislative Assembly Hills Area Committee Order 1972, the N. Biren Singh government declared parts of the hills as reserved and protected forests and wetland reserves. All land ownership documents within these areas were canceled, and a drive started to evict them in December 2022. Not even army personnel are safe in Manipur. Yesterday, we talked about how a cop was murdered by fascists in Manipur. We were talking about how the cops were murdered by fascists in Manipur. This led to violent confrontation between the state authorities and the Kuki Zo community, which had been living in these villages. The demolition drive, which began in the Kangpokpi district, a Kuki-dominated area, extended by February 2023 to Churachandpur and Tengnopal districts, which also had a preponderance of the Kuki Zo community. What is significant is that the Forest Survey's inquiries, evictions, and demolitions were carried out only in the non-Naga inhabited tribal areas, once again leading the Kuki community to believe that it was being singled out. In an inexplicable move, March 10th, 2023, the Biren Singh government took a cabinet decision to withdraw from the tripartite suspension of operations agreement. 2 weeks later, on March 24th, the state government removed the Armed Forces Special Powers Act selectively only through the Imphal Valley, even though the Kuki insurgent groups were in peace talks with the center, while the Meitei insurgents active in the Imphal Valley were outside any process of negotiation for peace. In retrospect, this was seen by the Kuki-Zo tribals as a partisan move in preparation for violence against the Kukis, which came a few weeks later. Simultaneously, a state government committee headed by the chief secretary on April 3rd, 2023, canceled all land property deeds in recognition of the villages within the designated reserved and protected forest areas. All this was done without any rehabilitation plan for the evicted tribal population. On April 19th, it was revealed in an unusual order that the Manipur High Court had ordered on March 27th that the state government recommends the inclusion of the Meitei community within the scheduled tribes list to the center. This was seen by the Naga as well as the Kuki-Zo tribals as a Meitei land grab move. Once they got ST status, they could buy land in tribal areas of the hills, which is currently forbidden. Ding, 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 ding. We talked about all this. We talked about all of this. This is state-sponsored ethnic cleansing, first of the Kuki-Zos, and once the Kuki-Zos have been cleansed, they're going to turn their guns on the Nagas. The night of May 3rd saw almost total destruction of Kuki-Zo churches, house, and other properties in the Meitei-dominated areas. This was also accompanied by looting of police armories in the Imphal Valley, imposition of curfew and internet shutdown. This was not appealed by the Biren Singh government immediately, even though the order had been issued without hearing the state or tribal stakeholders. This once again made the tribals angry and raised suspicions about the state government's motives. It's literally about access to protected land and resources for exploitation. That's it. Yet another layer to the complex issue was Biren Singh's so-called war on drugs. In this, the Kuki-Zos were painted as villains who indulged in illegal poppy cultivation in the hills. Manipur borders Myanmar and is a major route for drug smuggling through its border town of Moreh. Are the Kuki-Zo people native to areas like India? Yes. Yes, they are indigenous. Not only are they native, they are indigenous to the hill regions of Manipur. See, the thing is, the idea of nation states, of India and Myanmar being nation states, is a completely arbitrary idea. Do you want to know why? India and Myanmar are multi-ethnic societies. So you have indigenous ethnic groups like the Kuki-Zos who are native to both India, what is now India, and Myanmar, that have been cleaved apart by the British. Experts claim that the Golden Triangle of Yore has shifted from Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Tri-Junction to the borders of Myanmar, India, and Bangladesh. The trafficked drugs of choice are heroin, brown sugar, prescription painkillers, cough syrups, and yaba, or the world is your pills. Biren Singh government's focus has targeted poppy growing to the detriment of other components of the drug trade and smuggling of synthetics to Myanmar and the smuggling in of drugs and their distribution through Manipur. Poppy growing, done by the poorest farmers with financial advances for fertilizer and pesticides given by the drug mafia, has also shifted towards Manipur from Myanmar because of extensive satellite observance by the UN Office on Drug and Crimes illicit crop monitoring in Myanmar, which does not cover India. Illegal poppy cultivation is done by all, Kuki-Zos, Nagas, as well as Meiteis. Yet Biren Singh popularized the epithets poppy cultivators and narco-terrorists only for the Kuki-Zos. That dangerous public posturing became evident when a highly decorated police officer, Tunau Jambrinda, gave several interviews stating that the chief minister and the top police brass of the state forced her to let off a person whose premises worth more than 27 crore rupees had been recovered by her team. Civil society activists claim that the annual revenue from the drug business in Myanmar is estimated to be the tune of 50,000 crore, while the state's annual budget is only 30,000 crore. The implication being that the drug network is extensive and cannot thrive without political support. Biren Singh saying he's a ghoul is like not cutting it. Biren Singh is a fucking fascist. He's a genocidal fascist. He is trying to commit genocide. Like, he is doing ethnic pogroms against Kuki-Zos right now. This is literal Nazi shit that he's doing. These complex factors stoked Meitei Kuki ethnic tensions until they reached a combustion point on May 3rd. The All Tribal Students Union Manipur, the apex body of the state's tribal students, had organized a solidarity rally on that day against the Meitei demand for the ST status in Churachandpur. As a counter to this, Meitei blockaded all the roads leading to the hill districts. Rumors in the afternoon of some Meitei miscreants setting fire to the Anglo-Kuki War Centenary Memorial Gate, some reports say only a few tires were burnt next to the gate, led to tribal rallies returning home to rush to the site. This became the spark that ignited violence between the two communities. Rumors of some Meitei woman at Churachandpur Medical College being raped led to counter molestation and rape of Kuki women, arson and killing of Kukis in the Imphal Valley. The night of May 3rd saw almost total destruction of Kuki Zo churches, houses, and other property in the Meitei-dominated areas. This was also accompanied by the looting of police armories in the Imphal Valley, imposition of curfew and internet shutdown. Over the next few days, Meiteis from Kuki areas and Kuki Zo tribals from Meitei areas either escaped or were escorted by the security forces to areas dominated by their ethnicity. The role played in rescuing civilians, irrespective of their ethnicity, by Assam Rifles, whether it was rescuing nearly 1,000 Meiteis from Churachandpur, or 50 Meiteis, or 500 Meiteis from More, or tribal women and non-Meiteis from Manipur University was exemplary. I'm sorry if I'm missing something. Is Myanmar bombing the Kuki people? Yes, they are. We're talking about India, right? This is in India. Manipur is in India, right? So this EGI report that we're going over is about the state of Manipur in India. But Kuki Zos actually live across the border as well. So you have Kuki Zos that live in India, they're native to India. Because again, there's some Kuki Zo tribes that are native to India. There are some that live in Myanmar. And so the military junta is basically attacking is attacking everyone at this point. They're attacking everyone that is not remotely loyal to the junta, and that includes the Chin people of Myanmar, which includes some tribes that are also part of the Kuki Zos. That's why in this paper they refer to this group as Kuki Chin tribes. But yes, Myanmar is also attacking these guys with the help of Meitei vigilantes. Although an attempt was made to suggest that the Assam Rifles was only protecting Kukis later by Meitei radicals, that seems to be far removed from the reality. Violence continued sporadically thereafter, but with a clear geographical division being established between the Meiteis and the Kuki Zo areas. The central government neither imposed the president's rule in the state nor did it invoke powers under Article 355 to take over the law and order machinery. And yet the governor issued shoot-at-sight orders, and the center appointed a security advisor reporting to the chief minister who proved incompetent to control the violence. The union minister created a unified command, once again, and reporting to the CM. Some would say the CM's partisan actions had in fact pushed the state into turmoil. Yes. It's literally like Biren Singh made this significantly worse. He is devolving the situation as much as he can. The Union Home Minister created a unified command, once again reporting to the CM. In addition to the Manipur police forces under his command, he also had Assam Rifles reporting to him. Having caused the problem, he was rewarded by making him in charge of finding the solution. Manipur police and commando units of the state were also partisan and allegedly openly sided with the civilians and raided Kuki villages in the outskirts of Imphal. It is well known that the mobs did not loot the police armories. The weapons were given to them by the police on orders of the state government. A senior member of the indigenous tribal leaders forum in Kangpokpi told the EGI team. The first thing the unified command did was to demolish the defensive structures, roadblocks created by the Kukis. When they wanted to do the same on the Meitei side, they were apparently refused permission. The state bureaucracy, police, and political leadership got divided along ethnic lines and started behaving as such. The chief minister announced that while he and the Manipur police would be responsible for law and order in the valley, Union Home Minister Amit Shah had assured him that he would ensure peace in the hills, presumably through the Assam Rifles, which reports to the Home Ministry. This further crystallized the ethnic divide, with two different law enforcement regimes in place in the same state. What was clear to the EGI team was that the division along ethnic lines was not only in terms of people's consciousness, but a physical division or geographical separation had also taken place between the Meitei and Kuki Zo inhabited areas. The first thing that grabs the attention of the visitors trying to reach the hill areas from the valley is the buffer zone, which divides the two communities, with women protesters on each side. Huge posters asking people to boycott the Meitei goods have come up in the hill areas. Women protesters were everywhere, checking vehicles, stopping trucks, but not stopping cars carrying the media. At checkposts manned by the Marapaibas, Meitei women agitators, it was seen that the Assam rifles were prevented from entering. There have also been reports that trucks carrying supplies were also looted by mobs. The Indian tricolor is also seen at all Kuki protest sites around checkpoints and public spaces, perhaps in a bid to emphasize the point that the Kukizos are not asking for separation from India, but an autonomous administrative setup where finances are not controlled by Imphal. A constant refrain from the hill areas is that the fund for the developments are mostly spent in the valley and just 10% reach the hills. As per the government records through Manipur state, the budget allocates more than 40% of the 40% share of the total for the hills. Much as people in the valley pointed fingers at the surrendered Kuki militant groups brought in to join the mobs that went on rampage in Churachandpur and other places against the Meiteis, people in the hills said that former militant groups such as the UNLF, the Pre-Pak, and People's Liberation Army insurgents armed with sophisticated weapons led the frenzied Meitei mob attacks in Imphal. Manipur police and commando units of the state were also partisan and allegedly openly sided with the civilians and raided Kuki villages in the outskirts of Imphal. Jesus Christ. Since the latest clashes began in Manipur, the Marapaibas have been become cheerleaders of the violent mobs attacking Kuki homes. Video clips of where the Marapaibas have urged the youth to rape and molest Kuki women have resurfaced. This is god tier journalism, by the way. This is amazing journalism. This is amazing journalism. I'm going to spam this in chat. Go read this. This is an amazing journal. We're not going to be able to get through all of this. Fake news and disinformation. July 11th, there was a report in the Imphal Free Press which claimed that Myanmar nationals have been treated in the district hospital of Churachandpur, a Kuki stronghold. The implications of this report were those treated in the hospital were infiltrators from Myanmar who had been injured in the violence with the Meiteis. The AR had no merit in this story. The AR found no merit in this story and felt this fake news was initiated by inimical elements. Jesus fucking Christ. Yep, we talked about this in a shameful incident. A 7-year-old Kuki boy being taken to a hospital in an ambulance with his Meitei mother and another woman relative were attacked by a Meitei mob. As the father of the boy was Kuki, all of them were branded as Kuki family. All of them were branded as a Kuki family and burned alive in the ambulance. Fucking monsters of the highest order.